Hey guys, how's it going? This is Bada Boopy, and today I think, anyway, that we are playing the last chapter of Buried. We're gonna figure out what the fuck is going on, and hopefully save everyone at the same time. So let's just get into it. Let's fucking do this. I'm so excited. Okay, chapter 5. Alright. We are now inside a large reinforced chamber of sorts, almost like the inside of a submarine. Near us is the door, shut tight. Far away from us, along the back wall, are all sorts of controls and monitors. It seems clear that this metal door is impenetrable, at least to them. I'm fairly sure that they aren't getting in. Dennis looks like a walking corpse, and I do everything in my power to not let this show in my expression. His face is a grimace. He shouts out at me, "To hell with you! What were you thinking?" Blood pools on the floor below wherever he holds his arm. I say nothing. It's all too much. My brain feels like jelly. "We need to get him some help or he's going to bleed to death," Amy says. We are interrupted by a man's voice booming behind us. "Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?" the man roars. He's an older man who seems to exude power and authority, but he also looks tired and scared. I assume this is Barksdale. He walks over to us from the back recess of the chamber. "We didn't have a choice," Amy responds. "We had to." "Did you override the locks on the hangar doors?" Barksdale demands. "Yes, I did, but we had to." "Do you have any idea what you could have done?" Amy doesn't answer right away. She is furious, but she is also scared and visibly exhausted. Who is this? Let's intervene. Let's show him who's boss. I address my question to Amy, preferring to get my info from her rather than whoever this is. The man doesn't break eye contact with Amy. "Colonel Barksdale, he runs the place," she says, annoyed. "Look, Barksdale," she says, "you can berate me and lecture me all you want when this mess is over. But right now, I have a wounded civilian here, and as you can see, several entities trying to get into this room. So if you could actually do something instead of sitting on your throne and yelling at me, that would be great. I am impressed by your guts and wonder if there is some sort of beef between the two of them. Surely working in a place like this could cause some stress and tension between people." As we wait, I notice a small peephole in the door. I go to it and look out to the things. They're still looking for a way in, but finding no success. I wonder if they can sense or somehow see me through the door. Flip them the bird. No, don't do that. I still don't understand what these things are capable of, and trying to figure out hurts my head, so I decide to leave them be. "You'll be reprimanded for speaking to me in such a way," Barksdale says to Amy. "Reprimand me all you want. I'd like to survive this first." "Cover your ears," Barksdale shouts, walking away towards the far end of the room. "Stay put until you hear back from me." "Thank you," Amy says with the fire in her voice. She then turns to me and says, "Better do what that man says." I guess. Why not? I clap my hands over my ears just in time to protect my hearing from a deafening blast. I am still bleeding, and the sudden movement to cover my ears makes me feel dizzy. Dennis clumsily covers one ear with his hand and one ear with his bandaged arm. When I see the shape he is in, I get myself in check. Compared to Dennis, I am in tip-top shape. I did that. I took the shot that took his hand off. I need to make all of that mean something. More bursts of a loud explosive noise starts ringing out. Looking through the peephole again, I see the core of one of the beasts explode. It vanishes in a puff of smoke and clear liquid. Looking to my left, I see Barksdale in a shooting stance at the far side of the room. He's firing through a small slit in the wall. He's using some high-powered weapon, the likes of which I've never seen. I see a slight movement as the gun kicks, accompanied by a flicker of white light. Immediately, another monster is downed, its tentacles flailing around aimlessly at most of its core it is torn through. I instantly feel gratitude and immense satisfaction in knowing that they are being picked off in such a way. So we know they're getting picked off. We don't need to keep watching. Just sit down and relax, bro. I slide down against the door and simply wait, listening to the occasional patter of what I assume is their blood on the wall. I don't know how much time passes, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, and I don't care. It feels nice to lay down. When the firing is over, I barely even notice it. Soon after, Barksdale walks back over to our side of the room. "They're all gone," Barksdale says, "and I've resealed the hangar doors." "How'd you kill him like that?" I ask. "Classified weapons that, quite frankly, you have no business being near." Amy gets to her feet and returns to the panel on the wall. "Thanks. How badly are the civilians hurt?" Barksdale asks. One is in very bad shape, Amy says. He's lost a hand and a lot of blood. The other is not too bad. I see a laceration on his back and that's about it. Okay, I'll have Strickland get a med kit. Strickland survived? Amy asks, sounding cheerful. Yes, and until you and your friends showed up, I thought we were the only ones. Hang tight, she's on her way. With that said, he retreats to the back of the room, as if he can't stand to be around us. Amy approaches me and looks me over. You're in good hands. Strickland will be able to fix you up. Is she a doctor or something? Sort of. She's also a physicist. But oddly enough, she spends time as a trauma nurse in the army. Is Strickland a friend of yours, I ask? Amy chuckles. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. The only woman in the sea of our overachieving men. You must be glad Strickland survived. I am. We usually have lunch together, she says, and she's helped me out of a few tight spots in my career. Within a few seconds, the door behind us opens and a woman appears from back further within the chamber. She enters the room with what looks like a small suitcase. She is dressed in a very basic and drab military getup, complete with a holstered sidearm. My name is Connie Strickland, she says. I can patch you guys up pretty well, but it's going to hurt. She looks closely at Dennis, looking him over with a precise care and attention. You're not in the best shape. He responds in a grunt. Seriously, I can fix you up, but only temporarily. You need intensive care for that arm. First things first, though. Strickland pours a liquid over his maimed arm and starts stitching. She then wraps his arm with 3 entire spools of gauze. Blood shows through right away. That's the best I can do for now, she tells him, giving him a sympathetic frown. I could care less, Dennis mutters. I'm a cripple. Do whatever you want. As though it matters. Strickland then looks to me. Sit down and let's see if we can get your shirt off, she says. I sit down slowly and start unbuttoning my shirt. She has to help me slip it off my shoulders, but we manage. How bad is it, I ask. Bad, she answers. It's almost like a burn, but I've seen much worse. Your friend here, for example. I might as well talk to Strickland, if only to distract from the pain. What's your story? Strickland rolls her eyes as she gathers up a needle and some thread. I was always into fringe science. I started in labs where these eccentric Russian scientists were being funded by the US to work on combining DNA types. I sort of became obsessed with perfecting human physiology while I was a trauma nurse in the army. You were a mad scientist then? I say. I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff we do here. What kind of stuff? I gotta know. It's complicated. Komar masses, quantum gravity, crunching things down into their Schwarzschild radiuses. Fun stuff. Yeah, a mad scientist, I say, trying to keep myself calm with dry humor. There are lots of small labs working on the same stuff, she argues. They just don't have our funding. When you guys ran in here, she says, I was horrified. Those barrels outside. I'm not sure if you saw them. Well, if you'd shoot them, it could have been bad. Why, I ask. The gray ones are filled with an experimental fluid that is highly flammable. The yellow one contains liquid nitrogen. What? I ask. Just laying around? Well, this area is the safest in the building, the most secure. Well, it used to be anyway. And take this, she says, handing me 4 pills, painkillers. They won't work immediately, but they'll dull the worst of what you're feeling. Are these the best idea, I ask? Won't they make me dizzy or out of sorts of something? All I get in response is an annoyed and determined look. Yeah, she probably knows best. Oof, get that boom sound. I dry swallow the pills as she starts working on me. She slathers the wound with some sort of liquid that stings like crazy, and I gasp. Bear it. Just take it like a man. Ready to stab me yet? Strickland asks. I'm fine, I hiss. I wince as she dabs at my eye, swollen from where Marcus kicked me. I grit my teeth in pain and try to catch my breath. Dennis comes out of his haziness and tries speaking to Strickland, but his words are slurred. White light from the ground, Dennis says. You think that caused the power outage? Think that brought the monsters out? Could be, Strickland says, but your crew was far enough away from the facility, or at least we thought you were. Dennis chuckles in a way that makes him sound menacing. Nope, wrong. You thought wrong. So you and Barksdale are the only survivors? Amy asks. It seems that way. Those that didn't disappear into thin air were killed by those things, Strickland says, nodding to the secured door. No one else made it? Not that I've seen, Strickland says. If anyone else did make it, they're trapped out there with those things. I'm glad to see you. When Where were you when it happened? Amy asks. I was in the micro lab on level 2, Strickland replies. Park and O'Brien were in there with me and they just disappeared. It looked like they were being stretched, distorted, and then there were a ball of white light and they were gone. The ball of light just annihilated everything it touched. Would it leave a perfectly round hole, I ask, a light bulb turning on in my head. We saw some of those up at the logging site. Yeah, and I saw a ball of white light too, Demis chimes in. That was probably the same phenomenon, Strickland replies. Amy looks at the ground, like a child that is afraid to ask an adult for something. Finally, she asks, where did they go? We don't know, Strickland says. It could be an infinite number of different dimensions, or even some dimension that merged and mixed together. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. So I'm thinking like whatever they let out of the dimension was just light, and the light maybe possessed the people. That's why they just kind of disappeared and they turned into those monsters, maybe? That's what I'm guessing. Let's see, how is that even possible? We don't know that just yet, Strickland says. Our understanding of space-time is evolving, especially when you start warping it like we have been doing, Amy adds. That point seems to be the end of the conversation, as both women fall quiet. I wince through the rest of Strickland's stitching, feeling the tug of my skin, but thankfully, no more flowing blood. Finally, Strickland says, you're good to go. She looks over at Dennis one more time. He doesn't so much as stir when she rechecks her work. She's already having to remove the gauze on his wrist, as it's soaked through with blood. The wound looks like it's starting to clot, so that's good at least. I stare at the floor as Strickland does what she can. Will he make it, I ask? I'm not a doctor, Strickland says. Not really, but based on the bit I do know, I'd say it's about 50-50 right now. So have you and Barksdale been able to contain all those creatures, Amy asks? Strickland appears shocked, clearly not the reaction Amy was expecting. Contain? Are you nuts? Do you not know what's happening? Amy's eyes widen in fearful confusion. What do you mean? What's happening? Other than the initial experiment failure, the anomalies are becoming more numerous and further from the source, Strickland says. The casual humor in her voice is now gone. What anomalies? The doorways, she says, the pockets of exotic matter and negative energy that are letting those things in. Oh, okay. The failed experiment caused the first one, but it set off a chain reaction. They are gaining momentum along geodesics? Wow. Emanating from the facility. What the hell does that mean? Dennis asks. It means, Amy chimes in, that the doorways and monsters are starting to appear all over the facility, maybe even the surface. Not yet, luckily, Strickland says, but the doorways will start appearing on the surface, and it won't stop there. The anomalies' reach could extend infinitely as far as we know. Those entities will appear on the surface in other states, other countries. Holy shit, I say. You mean the world is going to be overrun? The horror of the past few hours has made me ready to believe anything, but this is almost too much. Unfortunately, yes, Strickland says. My God, Amy says, stepping away. Isn't there anything we can do? There is a last resort, Strickland says, her eyes darting over to Barksdale at the back of the room. There's an emergency fail-safe switch. What? Amy says. I've never heard of that. Where? You weren't cleared for it, Strickland replies. And that switch, Amy says, is a way to stop this? Yes, Strickland says, seeming uneasy with the conversation. Yeah, why haven't you hit the switch already? Well, there's two problems with hitting it, Strickland replies. The switch is our eraser. It destroys the entire facility and terminates any systems or experiments that are being conducted. It's also an emergency shutdown for interdimensional travel. It puts an event horizon around the facility. What the hell is that? I ask, incredulous. Wow, I'm sorry. It's the perimeter of a black hole, she replies, the boundary inside which nothing can escape, not even light. So the first problem is we'd all be killed, sucked into a black hole before we'd have time to evacuate. The second reason, Strickland whispers, suddenly quiet, is that Barksdale won't allow it. What? Amy gasps. Why not? He wants to allow those things to flood the surface? Thousands, millions will die. Strickland puts her hand up, silencing Amy. They both peer over to the far side of the room where Barksdale has his back turned. I know. He says he doesn't care. He says he'll be happy to be rid of the oversight so he can continue his work. The oversight? Amy almost screams, regaining control over her voice when Strickland gives her another look of warning. You mean our government? I ask. He's aware this could disrupt, even topple our government, and he doesn't care? Strickland sighs. Barksdale is, well, He's off the range right now. He's gone rogue, and he's armed. This comment makes me look towards the handgun I brought in with me. I'd nearly forgotten it in the last few moments. While Barksdale had his back turned, I take it in my hands and slide it behind me. Just in time, too, as Barksdale walks over from the back of the room to our side of the chamber. He gives Strickland a suspicious look before speaking to him. Are the two civilians going to survive, he asks. Janice chuckles at this, and I'm relieved to see that his eyes are open. He gives a lazy thumbs up. One is stitched up and good to go, but the other over here is in bad shape. He needs immediate medical attention. Understood, Barksdale says. Amy, it's quite nice to see that you have survived, he says. Were there any others? The aloof way this asshole is talking to us is getting under my skin. A guy named Marcus that works on the first level, from IT, Amy says. That's all I know for sure. Marcus Papscott, Barksdale says. Where is he? Should I be... No, he's pretty crazy. I don't want to be... He might try and kill me. He was killed by those things. I shouldn't have lied. Dang it. I try not to let my eyes shift and give away my lie. Oh, Barksdale says. I see. Barksdale seems to think about something and then looks directly at me. You're with the logging crew, aren't you? Remind me, how did you get in here again? We were searching for our crew. Ah, makes sense. The cloaks for the entrance shed are tied to a primary source, Barksdale says, and we lost primary power just before the experiment failed. Cloak? I ask. Yes, Strickland says. The shed you entered is usually not visible to the naked eye. Depending on the power sources that were damaged, Barksdale continues, it could have also shut down the locking systems before backups kicked in. Everything is starting to make sense now. From the very start, it had seemed peculiar that we'd so easily been able to walk into a place like this. Oh my god, I sneezed. I'm sorry. Okay. Where's the rest of our crew? What caused the experiment to fail? Yeah, let's find out. Your crew hit one of the main power lines. We aren't sure exactly how, but we know that's what did it. You're trying to blame all of this on me? I roar. The timing was unfortunate, Barksdale says. Where's the rest of our crew? Your crew? Barksdale asks. Frank and Joe? They're gone. Gone? Gone where? Dennis asked, his voice trembling. They were annihilated by antimatter pockets created during the failure. A bright ball of light destroyed them. In the aftermath, all you'd see would be a round hole in the ground. Barksdale says like he's sharing yesterday's sports scores. I let my face crumble into my hands. I had suspected this. All this time and they were already dead. Behind me, Dennis lets out the beginning of a sob. Damn it, he mutters over and over. So, Amy asks, what do we do now? Now, it's time to continue our work, Barksdale says calmly, turning away to the instruments on the near wall. You're insane, bro. You want to keep your little toys to yourself, I say? You want to keep your little toys to yourself, I say, my teeth clenched, and you're willing to unleash these monsters onto the world to do it? Indeed, Barksdale says. I want to continue my work. Other researchers will eventually discover what we have. Sure. But I want it to be me. This is my laboratory. These are my experiments. The work I've led here will earn me a place in history. And quite frankly, I don't need to explain it to you. Up on the surface, they'll struggle to defend themselves since they won't know what they're dealing with. I have the necessary weapons. After a few months, who knows? Maybe I'll decide the world is ready for me to help them, and we'll go from there. Strickland steps up directly beside me and whispers in my ear. I wouldn't push him, she says. He's usually very logical, but this whole thing has pushed him somewhere else. He's, well, off. He turns his back to us as he says this, walking to the far side of the chamber, like we're some kind of distraction. Amy takes this opportunity to whisper to us. We need to hit that switch, she says. It's the only option. What he's saying is murder, treason, genocide. She looks over to Strickland for support, trailing off, but Strickland looks at the ground, clearly torn. She won't look anyone in the eye and makes an effort not to look at Barksdale. He seems distracted with whatever instrument he's studying on the far side of the room. The dreamlike quality I experienced earlier is wearing off. The painkillers seem to be losing their edge. Strickland finally whispers a response. Even if we decide that we want to hit that switch, Barksdale won't allow us. To hell with him. Amy agrees. Where's the switch located, she asks. There's an elevator out in the hangar, Strickland says. Take it to the basement. The switch is at the end of the long tunnel. But Strickland never finishes. Two things happen at once as she speaks, her mouth stopping in mid-sentence. First, a loud booming noise rings out, and then the top of her head seems to explode. Amy screams out in surprise, and Dennis and I jump back in shock as Strickland's body collapses beside me. Behind her fallen body, Barksdale is holding his experimental rifle, and now he's pointing it at us. What the motherfuck, dude? What? Are you fucking kidding me? Holy fucking shit, dude. No way. Oh, this dude's fucking insane. I wonder if Barksdale is even crazier than Marcus. He just shot a woman that worked for him to keep her quiet. Surely he won't have an issue with killing me. Now, Barksdale yells, no more whispering, no secrets. You three will stay in here and get away from that door. If anyone whispers one more thing, I'll blow your heads off. My mind is racing to figure out a way to get through the secure door and into the hangar. Beyond that, of course, there was a fail-safe switch. Make a distraction. I try my best to be a good actor as I wobble to my feet a bit. I start forward again, and then wobble some more. Amy is apparently catching on because she is at my side in a second. She looks over to Barksdale and says, he's lost a lot of blood. Let me check his wounds really quick. After he dared to talk to me like that, he's been through a lot, she argues. He's clearly delusional. Dennis seems to not quite know what's going on, but luckily Barksdale isn't paying attention to him. You can check him back here, Barksdale says. You have 30 seconds to get away from that door. I stretch out my acting skills and actually stumble to a knee. I make a show of trying to get to my feet and stand still for a moment. I'm okay, I say. I'm okay. As quickly as I can, I raise my gun and fire. I don't even take aim. I just fire in Barksdale's general direction. Barksdale takes off running as my shot misses wide. He runs for cover to the back of the room. That's all we need. Amy also fires a shot to keep him under cover as we head for the door. Amy pushes a button and the door swings open. Barksdale will be on us in a second, so we dash out into the hangar, ready to defend ourselves. Oh my god, it's just getting so crazy. We better fucking kill this douche. He just blew Strickdale's head off, like, so fast. All three of us run as fast as we can through the rows of barrels. Right away, though, Barksdale's gunfire separates us. I hear a shot hit nearly as I dive down and realize that neither Dennis nor Amy is with me. I hear Amy cry out from elsewhere on the barrels. Peering around the barrels closest to me, I can see Dennis. He's crawling slowly to the two on the floor 2 rows away from me. Seeing him move so slowly, I can't imagine how he's finding the strength to even do that. Stop this nonsense, Barksdale yells at us. I've got a good mind to shoot the fuel and kill all of you. It's then that I realize that not getting away from these barrels may be our death sentence. What? Tell them to get away. Always protect them. Before I can do anything, a shot comes from the isolation chamber. It's immediately followed by a pinging sound and a massive wall of heat. I feel the heat before I feel the force of the explosion. It occurs several rows ahead of me, and I can still feel the physical push of it. I hear Dennis scream and then the clanging of metal. That's when another barrel explodes and then another. I realize that I could run back and help or try to get myself clear. I might not have enough time to do either before the next round of eruptions. What the hell should I do? Of course help them. Why would I run away? Alright, my instinct to help overcomes my instinct to survive. If I don't help them now, the exploding barrels will leave Dennis and Amy as good as dead. I turn and start heading their way, but I'm not quick enough. Another barrel blows up between us and throws me back across the hangar floor. My face and arms scream with the unimaginable pain of deep burns as I'm lifted from the ground and tossed forward by the explosion. I slowly muscle myself up and off the ground and try to regain my footing. My entire body feels sore, begging me to just stop. When I look back for Dennis and Amy, the scene is not promising. Neither of them seems to be able to move on their own. Dennis is lying flat on his face, unmoving. Amy is about 20 feet away from him. She's wailing in pain and clutching her leg. Behind them, I can see Barksdale looking for a shot through the fire and evaporated liquid nitrogen. I fire off a single shot just to get him to duck back down. I look back out to Dennis and Amy and see the fire nearing the fuel barrels. I can maybe keep Barksdale pinned down long enough to pick them up one by one and help them walk to the elevators. But more barrels could blow at any moment. I might only have time to save one of them. Oh, fuck's sake. No, don't make me choose. Shit, man. But Dennis was there from the beginning. Shit. I take a deep breath and sprint back out into the open among the fire and the heat. Right away, I start taking blind shots at Barksdale. He fires back only once, and the shot goes off into the growing flames around me. I take one more shot and then reach down for Dennis. He's basically dead weight at this point. He's almost too heavy for me, but I manage to get him to his feet. He's almost too heavy for me, and my wounded shoulder screams in pain as I get him to his feet. I drag him back, narrowly avoiding the fire and death. I try shooting at Barksdale, but trying to aim the gun while carrying Dennis proves to be too much. Barksdale gets a single shot off as we round the corner to where the elevator waits. I set Dennis down, and he is still unresponsive. Drenched in sweat, I wheel around and head back out to get Amy, only to make it a single step before I see her. I open my mouth to call to her, but an explosion right beside her cuts me off. She is shoved hard to the left from the force of the explosion. I run to help, but Barksdale is firing at me again. I give Amy one last regretful look and then rush back to the elevator and Dennis. My nerves are drenched in fear and adrenaline. When I reach out to press the call button on the elevator, it feels like I'm watching someone else do it. As Dennis and I step inside, the motors of the elevator squeal like dying dogs. It's an old service elevator, made of wood and metal, like something from a coal mine. As the elevator slides down, the light from the flames give way to complete blackness. And now it's just me and Dennis once again. Why would I not help Amy? That's fucking annoying. That's stupid. No, I don't agree with that. Go fucking help her. Why wouldn't you help her? Damn it. What the heck, man? I lose track of how long the elevator descends. It's hard to tell due to the lack of lighting, but it must go another 500 feet underground. The elevator comes to a stop with a shuddering clang, and I waste no time exiting. A tunnel stretches out with sparse white bulbs lighting the way. Most of the wall is made of raw earth and rock, but there are boards and concrete slathering in areas used to reinforce the tunnel. I see a warning sign posted on the wall. I want to read it, but there's not much time. You gotta make sure shit's safe, you know? Warning, authorized personnel only beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Absolutely no exceptions. Well, glad we got that out of the way. Now that everyone is dead, suddenly I feel the effects of the painkillers again. My head feels like a balloon and my balance is off kilter. I look up, and when I see that the tunnel ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. The ceiling is not high enough, and there's barely enough room for Dennis and me to walk side by side. His eyes are half closed, and he looks on the verge of passing out again. It's okay, I tell him. We're almost done. A little further, okay? He shakes his head and says, I'm sorry, Roger, but I don't think I can go any further. I lower him to the floor and as easily as I can and let him rest. I'll be back, I tell him, hoping it's true. The switch should be down here somewhere. I give Dennis one last look and then start down into the tunnel ahead of me. I look up, and when I see that tunnel ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. Still, it is much better than facing the monsters above me. I wonder then, walking through the darkness, where they came from. Is the portal still open? I keep walking into the darkness, and within 5 minutes, the glow of the red light from the elevator is diminished. It's almost completely dark. I hold the gun up in one hand and reach out to touch the wall with my other. Feeling the gun in my palm anchors me to reality, to sanity. I am not in some boundless abyss, but still in the real world. For a little while longer, at least. I recognize that I am marching to my end. As much as I wish I weren't, it's not surprising. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do to time and space, at least a part of me knew that death was inevitable. Before I have time to wonder what will happen, I see a light ahead. It's nothing more than a speck of blue light, but in the darkness of the tunnel, it's like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. I slog forward, my eyes straining to focus on that little light ahead. From somewhere ahead, I start to hear something that sounds like water. It is trickling lightly like a leaky faucet. And behind that, there is something that sounds like wind, a light breeze through an open field, and a voice. Anywhere else, the sounds would have been pleasant, but here in the blackness of the tunnel, they're menacing. Stay quiet. Don't do that. Don't be yelling shit. I don't make a sound, instead trying to make sense of what's going on around me. I cock my head, trying to concentrate, and then realize that I can see the tunnel walls now. This is odd, as I wasn't able to see them a few seconds ago. This is different from the blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's then that I see a slight shimmering shimmering in the air. It looks like a foggy mirror steamed over after a shower, and it's moving, dancing in the air like some abstract firefly. It's not menacing like the creatures, so that threat is null. It's peaceful, serene. I watch as the shimmer branches out and becomes 2, then 3, then 4. They snake out in different directions, tracing the tunnel walls. Are these shimmers the doors to another dimension that Strickland was talking about? Suddenly I'm surrounded by light above and below me and realize there's no avoiding it. The question is, how am I getting through? Feet. I don't know. Unable to resist, I step forward to where the tunnel wall should be. When I do, those shimmering lights branch out even more before connecting in one perfect circular form. They're hypnotizing, so much so that I don't realize that the tunnel walls are vanishing. I feel something like wind and a brief electrical pulse pass through me as the lights take me. There is then a very gentle pushing sensation, and I somehow know that I am being expelled. I have passed through something, maybe the lights, maybe the tunnel walls. I don't know. But the shimmering lights fade a bit, still dancing in the air, but no longer large and branching out. And as my eyes adjust, I see right away that I am no longer standing in that dark tunnel far beneath the hangar. I have no idea where I am. I'm just somewhere else, and I'm terrified. Did he walk through a dimension? Through a different dimension? Is he going to become one of those things? Whoa, what the fuck? What is that? The ground I land on looks like hot coals. There are dips and many cliffs breaking the landscape ahead of me. There's a wash of orange and blue overhead in the sky that makes no sense. It is both beautiful and terrifying at once. A scattering of stars hang overhead, and they all seem to be breathing, pulsing with a gentle energy, as if alive. I can't tell if there are clouds in the sky because everything about it, from the colors to the trembling horizon line, seems to be amorphous. Everything is knitted together, living. I stare a moment longer and can swear I feel the sky breathing. Far off to my right, I see what looks to be a plume of fire, small yet bright, with no source of fuel. It looks as if the ground itself is creating the flame. Several more of these flames dot the landscape further out. The air is thick and muggy. Then I realize something horrible. I don't know if what I'm breathing here resembles air at all. In a place like this, one of the impossible beauties is also very stark horror. My mind doesn't know what to do. A wave of nausea comes over me and I think I might be sick. I'm not sure if it would be better to fight it or give in. The white light that brought me here is nowhere to be found. Is anyone else even here? Is there any way to escape? Look around. Don't just yell, that's stupid. I continue to look out at this nightmarish landscape and see a few other explainable oddities. There are billowing flames in the distance, not like a volcano or explosions, just some kind of slow heat crawling upwards that defies reality. This analogy seems even more fitting when I see the thin vein-like roots of the fire twisting into the ground and then darting out and in all directions. I get that sick feeling again in my gut and realize my mind just needs something to focus on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm sneezing so much. It's then that I hear a voice. It is faint, distant. I turn and hear it coming out of one of the massive crevices along the ground. Inside of that crack, about 10 feet down, a very pale man lies on a ledge. He is human, but looks close to death. He is in the center of a large pool of blood, and his left leg has been twisted and torn in an unnatural way. As I walk to the ledge, he looks up and sees me. Help me, please, the man says. His eyes are wide, although everything about him speaks of weakness. He is close to death, or insanity, or both. Who are you? I feel like I have to sneeze again, I'm sorry. Oh man, who are you? I'm Dr. Kana. He's strange to get out. I work in the facility. Please, help. I want to know more, but it seems cruel to steal what looks like his last breaths just to answer my questions. I'd love to, I respond, but I don't know where the hell I am or how to get back home. The light, he says, it's a doorway. It might take you back to the facility. Where did it go? They come and go. They'll be back. Now please, help me. I desperately want to help, but there's no way I can reach him. His ledge is too far away, above the pools of fire. I don't think I can get to you, I say. No, that's not what I mean, he replies. His eyes are on the handgun that I almost forget I'm still holding. I realize what he wants me to do and I shake my head. I can't, I say. I can't do that. Please, he pledges. Those things, they have the others that came here with me. I got dropped along the way. They'll be back. They'll be back and they'll kill me. That, he says, again indicating the gun, will be quicker, less painful. I can't, I repeat. Please, look at my damn leg. I'm dead anyway. I'm about to refuse him again when I hear the all too familiar static sound out of from another crevice behind him. I hear another one of those shrill noises and then watch as one of the monsters materializes up out of the neighboring crevice. 2 more come out after it, then a third, then 5, then 10. Soon I lose count as what was just a few turns into a flood, and I suddenly understand the man's reasoning. A bullet would be a mercy. I check the gun and see that I only have 1 round left. I can use it on this guy, but I might need it for myself later. From beside me, the man pleads again. My God, he says, a waver of lunacy in his voice. Please. Shit. I mean, shooting him would be the nice thing to do, but I only have 1 bullet. And I need to save myself, you know? Oh, my nose. I need to save it for myself. Sorry, guy. I'm so sorry, I say. I can't. What I don't tell him is that I'm in a situation where I have to keep this 1 bullet. I can't waste it on him. He whimpers a bit and I look away, unable to see that misery on his face. Behind me I hear him give a mix between a scream mixed with the high-pitched noises of the army of creatures. Their volume rises and he lets out a cry after cry. I clench my teeth as the torture continues. Then suddenly his voice is silenced and only the sick static sound remains. And that's when I see the shimmers wavering to my right in the direction I originally came from. I look back to the monsters and see that they have now noticed me. Some of them begin floating up the walls of the crevice. There are less than 10 feet separating us. The shimmers of white light are within arm's reach, its movements reminding me of a fish in an aquarium. I reach out and feel myself accepted by them again. I feel the sensation of wind and wait for the feeling of being pushed out back to the tunnel facility. But it doesn't come this time. This time I feel something else. I feel a tugging sensation that seems to want to drag me in all directions at once. As the world goes dark, I realize that I am somewhere else, and it is not the darkness of this tunnel. This is the darkness of the total void. Ooh. So he did step in another dimension. This is where they all came from, and where they go. So what happened? There is darkness around me, everywhere. Nothingness. I feel nothing under my feet, nothing to my sides. I can't touch or sense anything at all. I don't even know which way is up or down. It's as though I am all that exists. And as I remain there, I just hear silence, not even the sound of my heartbeat. The blackness is so deep that I feel I can't distinguish between my thoughts and what is real. I hear screaming, but I can't tell if it's someone else or my mind screaming to fill this void. Try to move. I try to kick and move my arms. It's not working. But it's not clearer in what way it's not working. Are my limbs not moving, or have they gone numb? It's impossible to tell. My body has just become absent of all sensation. I assume this is the place that Strickland referred to. The place between dimensions. This darkness could consume me if it wanted to. I try to will myself out of it, to have those shimmering lights spit me out, but it isn't happening. Are they visions? My mind playing tricks on me? I can't tell. All I can do is watch. I see the logging site and Tony's leg still pinned under the dozer. I feel a pang of regret that I have left him in such a state. I see myself talking to Dennis, and he looks distraught as I tell him that Tony is gone. Then the scene rearranges itself, and I'm sitting between Dennis and Marcus's gun. It changes again, and the shape of Marcus's body appears in front of me, half devoured, a bullet through his head. In my mind, I'm sobbing as I shoot off Dennis's hand, trying to convince myself it was the only way to save him, but he'll never forgive me. I try to let out a scream as Dennis and I watch Amy get blown apart by the barrel's explosion, but there's still no sound. And just when I feel like I can't take any more of this, I see the man in the strange world, begging for death. I watch as he's distorted and torn by those beasts. All these things are flooding my mind, and it feels like my brain is vomiting. Yet in the midst of it all, I see what's really important, the switch. In my mind's eye, I see that glowing light in the tunnel, the one far ahead, small and distant. Try to focus. I focus my mind on the tunnel and the image of that flickering light. With a mental effort so strong that it is nearly a physical motion, I make myself envision that little light in the tunnel as if it were right in front of me. With that, I feel the wind again, a light breeze that seems to come from everywhere. And then with a relief that I can only imagine feels like death, I move forward. Oh man, this is giving me chills. Did he get out? Was that in between dimensions? It was just darkness and quiet. I'm ejected from the void and I'm suddenly standing in the tunnel again. Okay. I let out a wail of triumph that turns into a bout of weeping. The weeping only intensifies when I see that light up ahead, a flickering blue light. Somewhere behind me, I hear a crackling noise. I can only hope that they haven't reached Dennis, but it's too late to even worry about that. After coming this far, I'm not about to turn back. I feel like I can listen to get a better read on where they are, or I can just make a break for it. Run. Just gotta go. I don't even bother looking back. There's no time. Instead, I run with all my might straight ahead, my focus on that little blue light ahead of me. As I run, I see a different light, a white one, flickering in my peripheral vision. It's another of those shimmers that go to another world. It seems that they are appearing and disappearing with more frequency now. Strickland was right. These things could reach the surface soon, unleashing more monsters. This thought makes me refocus on the blue light, the man-made light, the switch. The blue light gets closer, and as it does, I can make out a square shape around it. This has to be it. The familiar static scream of the monsters is much closer now. I have to be quick. I grip the gun tightly, knowing I only have one bullet remaining. The bullet that the man in the other world had wanted me to use at the end to end his life. I run ahead into the darkness, my eyes locked onto the switch that I assume is going to kill not only the creatures but myself as well. As I approach, I see the lever. It's covered by a glass box that I will need to break. The blue light is directly beneath this, highlighting a series of tubes and wires that snake into the inner workings of the device. In the middle is blackness, not like a darkly colored part of the machine, but just a hole in reality. It looks like some sort of illusion. All the while, I can hear the static of the creatures coming up dangerously close now. I have no idea how much time I have. Smash the glass, of course. I draw back the stack of the gun and smash through the glass box that houses the lever. The glass shattering is like music to my ears. I reach out for the lever, my hand grasping it. Without warning, I feel immense pain coursing through my body. It feels like fire racing down my back, causing me to fall to one knee in agony. There's only one of them that I can see. It blasts horrible static noises at me as I ready my gun. One bullet left. I'm very glad I didn't put that poor man in the other place out of his misery. I take aim and fire, my accuracy rewarded with a spew of white gas from the creature's score. It backs away in defense or annoyance, I'm not sure. I start to turn back to the switch when I hear a second creature come up, gliding up behind me. Its tentacles melt into me and I scream. I can't help it. It sounds like a wild animal. I sound like a wild animal. I can try to keep fending them off, or I can go for broke and just focus on the lever. Creatures be damned. Spring for the lever. Just fucking get it. I put all of my strength into my legs. The moment the monster in front of me draws back its eel-like arms to grab me, I pivot backwards. My back strikes the machine, sending agony rocketing through my body. I'm so thankful I broke the glass before this moment, before the coming violence. I stretch out and grab the lever. With one last desperate scream that shreds my voice, I jam it down. The tunnel is suddenly filled with a flash of intense darkness. It expands from the switch, swallowing the matter around it. At first, I'm sure this is the end of me. I expect the darkness to consume me, followed by death. But then another shimmer of dancing white light appears next to me. There are more of those screams of light, rips in space like the ones that previously sent me to that other ungodly world in the void. With nothing else to do but die, I try to escape into the shimmer. When that stream of light envelops me, this expanding darkness of the switch is gone, and I feel a huge push. Oh man. What's gonna happen? Wow. What is going on? My body feels stretched, collapsing like I'm falling in all directions at once. The world goes white, and then there are pinpoints of stars everywhere. One of them breezes directly by my right, and I see something that looks like a spiral galaxy distorted in its folds. To my right, I see an endless stretch of stars and gas clouds, forming some galactic architecture. But beyond the immeasurable beauty, I notice something. I am seeing the same star patterns over and over. They are repeating like reflections in an endless mirror. Are these the different versions of the same galaxies, the same realities? To my left, I see a calm blue world and can barely make out trees, familiar Kentucky trees that I have been around for the last few weeks. To my right, I see a copy, an orange world, and there are trees there as well, but something is strange, disturbing. As I zoom by, I'm not sure how much control I have in this unusual place, but if I can direct myself, it's worth trying. Oh shit. I don't know. Orange. Fuck it. Yes. I try to focus my mind on heading towards the orange world, not knowing what to expect. My breath escapes me for a moment. Everything is dark and peaceful, and nothing hurts. Oh, what did I do? What did I just do? Is that the bad place? Whoa. Oh, we're back here. Is that... What? With breath back inside my body, I gasp and open my eyes. I'm back. Back at the logging site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmers react with the implosion of the switch? Some other accident? I have no idea. I sit up right away and become instantly dizzy. Dennis, I say. I have no reason to think that he survived whatever happened in the tunnel, but there's some sort of certainty that gets me to my feet. I wonder if I am somehow back in time before we found the facility, but what happens next makes me realize that can't be true. As I start walking forward, I feel a tremor in the ground. Somewhere off in the distance, I hear a metallic groan. The buried facility, it's being ripped apart under the ground by the activation of the switch. There's no way Barksdale survived. Good riddance. I stumbled a bit, and when I do, I see the body on the forest floor. Dennis. How is he here? Did he get caught in those shimmers as well? I decide I don't care and scramble over to him. Dennis, can you hear me? Yeah, he says, the slightest twitch behind his eyes, and for the moment, that's good enough for me. To my left, through a tangle of partially destroyed trees and woodland, a pillar of smoke begins to rise into the air. We've made it out of the facility alive, and that, I suppose, is the most important thing. But somehow, something feels off in a way that I can't quite explain. It's then, as I look up and notice the sky, it starts to sink in. What? Wow. What? They're in another dimension, but it's the same as their world? There's something different about it. Something not right. That sky does not belong here. It is a sky of oranges and blues, stars pulsing in and out as if alive. The colors of the sky seem to breathe, as if they are trying to inhale the tops of the spruce trees. I see those colors all knitted together and living. My stomach rolls and I rise up in my throat. What the hell have I done? What? No way. Holy shit. What happened? The end. Is that all of it? So, they came back in another... Oh, you and 36% of players decided to take the painkillers. Oh, wow. You and 33% of players chose to save Dennis instead of Amy. Oh, really? You and 70% of players did not kill the man who asked for death. Yeah, that makes sense. You and 17% of players headed towards the orange world. What? So, when we came back then, I'm trying to figure it out. So when we went through the shimmer, somehow Dennis managed to get through as well. We came back to the same world, but in a different dimension? Is that basically what happened? Maybe? Maybe not? I don't know. If you guys know, oh, okay. That's so cool. That was so much fun. I really love that game. Wow. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking through this game with me. I enjoyed it so much. If you guys do have any thoughts, opinions, any theories, or what just happened, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback. Thank you, and like I said, thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.